Many companies make more money in an inflationary environment versus a deflationary environment. And here's why, because I know a lot of people think that a company, right, will eat some of those costs, right, higher costs, instead of passing it on to the consumer. The reality is most companies will pass those costs on, higher costs, to the consumer. And even with inflation coming down, there's a thing called greedflation where these companies are still keeping their prices high. So that's why they do better in an inflationary environment. Obviously, if you're in a deflationary environment, right, it's costing more for that producer or that company to make their product. Let's take a hamburger, for example, okay? And that's considered PPI, or producer price index, what it costs them to make the burger. And then CPI, or the consumer side, what it costs the consumer to buy that hamburger, right? So let's say it's $2 to make that hamburger, right? So PPI, and then $4 that they charge the consumer, which is CPI. Right? The issue, like we've seen with these reports, is PPI inflation went up higher than the CPI inflation. So that means the profit margins are getting squeezed. Obviously now, instead of say $2 to make that burger, now it's costing them say $2.50, and they're still selling it for the same $4 price. That's a lower profit margin. So that's what you have to watch out for, because if you start seeing earnings with companies that they have a lower profit margin, again, as we go into a deflationary period possibly down the road, that's going to be the concern. Those are the companies you want to stay away from.